Hey guys, this is Tiffany with the Nerdettes, and oh my gosh, I am so excited. This episode of The Walking Dead, which is Season 8, Episode 12, called The Key. And I mean, again, here we go again with bringing it to that ultimate climax that's going to happen. And this is why I love this book. Here's Negan. Talks about, like, on the back it says, "Who is Negan?" This episode really brings you back to his origins. So, I highly recommend this book if you want to know more about his character, if you've only seen the show, haven't read the comics, and don't really know anything about, like, Kirkman's writing of Negan. Check this out. I actually got this from Infinity Flux and Hicks and Tissy because they're amazing. And I mean, this really brings you to this episode. So, highly recommend this just so you can kind of understand it better. But anyways, this episode, the key is, I mean, it starts off with Negan and his, just this like, creepy kind of grin that he has. And he visits Dwight finally. And you know Dwight's like, not really thrilled about this visit given what he's been doing, but it's inevitable. So it happens. They visit, and essentially Negan's trying to flesh out Dwight a little bit to see if he's still on the Savior's side, and he's heard his side of the story that he barely escaped with his life, that basically, you know, that he was trying to do the best he could by the Saviors. Never once that he actually swapped sides. So for now, I guess Negan, while he may hold his skepticism somewhere in his psyche, right now he's putting on, his, creepy face. But anyway, so at this point, all weapons, like not just Lucille, like we saw last episode, but all weapons, knives, swords, like if you have a lot of them have like made like modifications to their guns to have like swords or knives on them as well. So even guns with like weapons like that are all covered in zombie guts and innards and insides and just intestines and flesh, and basically just covered in anything possible to possibly attack Alexandrians, people from Hilltop, or the Kingdom, and turn them, or any of their enemies for that matter, to, really essentially just turn them. And that's their goal, as we find out this episode. So, because the orders are to cut, but not kill. So, you learn that that's like their goal, is to just turn enough of them to cause like chaos and go from there. Hey buddy, you alright? But anyway, so Simon says that Dwight has to ride with him, Negan's orders. And so they're driving, and he talks to Dwight about his doubts about where the direction that the Saviors are heading, their whole like outlook on life, that he's kind of fleshing out Dwight himself to see if he'll join him and like his men that he's trying to rally behind him to pretty much stage a coup, and excuse me. But anyway, so we also see Daryl talking to Rick, and basically just he's talking about the people that have gone, specifically like Carl, the people that are living, and their kind of like responsibility to them. And also he tells him that he apologizes basically for what he did at Sanctuary, with that whole plot with the truck running through the side of the building and everything like that. So anyway, they have that conversation. Rick ultimately, though, thanks him for getting everyone to Hilltop like he did. So that much is definitely, to be said. And they haven't really gotten a chance to, I guess, have that kind of conversation because they've kind of been separated for quite some time. So it's good, I think. I don't know. And then Simon, I mean, I don't know about Simon. He's just, I don't know. But anyway, let's see. What else? There's just so much that happens this episode. So Simon is still talking to Dwight, and he says that he's determined that what Negan's like scare tactics are to try to scare like the Alexandrians, Hilltop, the Kingdom, all those people into submission, aren't those tactics aren't working. And he's come to the conclusion that these people simply don't scare. That they've bucked up time and time again, no matter what Negan's done, to Glenn and Abraham, and just in general. I mean, anything that Negan's pretty much done, they've always fought back. And Simon has kind of come to the conclusion that they can't just scare them. They have to, he tells Dwight that his plan is to move forward. And that they need other people, not just these people that they've been focusing on, but other people as well. So, all of a sudden, like, obviously we have a bunch of different vehicles that are headed to Hilltop to attack. And it's like a line of vehicles, that are just a lot of saviors are inside these, and there's a ton of them going down the road. And you see Rick up on the hilltop, like not hilltop itself, but up on a hill, like a knoll, looking down, and he recognizes Negan in one of the cars. And he obviously is very affected by this. And at first I thought he was going to try to run after him and shoot him. Oh no. He gets in his vehicle and he just plows out of a side street right through Negan's car and pushes him off the road, while the line of, like, the caravan of other vehicles keep going. So he basically hits him off the road. And so Simon and Dwight realize what's happened, and they decide that they're going to go look for them, while the rest of the saviors go on and do what Negan planned at Hilltop. So basically they go to look for him, and we see Rick going after Negan, like gun blazing, absolutely gun blazing, and he's shooting at Negan. Negan's trying to dodge. Obviously, walkers are being drawn to the scene, not only by that loud crash of cars, but also by the gunshots and the yelling. Obviously, like, you see Negan go through this doorway. Rick follows him, like, trying to take him out, and he eventually runs out of ammo. And at this point, it's Negan versus Rick, and there's, like, punching. You see the bat swinging at Rick. Rick trying to go after Negan. And eventually, Negan gets up on, like, the top of, like, these steps, I guess, with, like, a really rickety banister. And, like, right as Rick goes out of ammo, he has an axe, and he throws the axe at Negan. Negan goes to dodge, barely does so, and falls. Like, he falls and breaks this, like, old, just kind of very, I guess, rickety, the banister itself. It crumbles into pieces, and Negan falls, and he's barely hanging on by his fingertips. And he's trying to talk to Rick, and Rick is like, the hell with you, and just basically goes to take the axe and, like, chop him at his fingers. Negan lets go and falls down the building, basically, to the bottom. And, I mean, it's freaking insane. I mean, this guy, I mean, he's a tough guy. So, anyways, we see Maggie and Enid and Michonne. They got a vehicle with a note that said to fill up these 4 crates with, like, music and different stuff and meet these people. They don't know who. They don't know if it's the saviors. They don't know if it's a trap. to make a trade, basically. And so Maggie does it. Like, of course she's suspecting a trap. So they go out and they meet these ladies, and they meet Georgie, Hilda, and Midge. Interesting names. Love it. It's like the Golden Girls is what I immediately thought of. Even though it's not like Dorothy and Blanche and Rose, it's Georgie, Hilda, and Midge. So you still kind of get that same vibe, you know. Because like she talks about people believing in people and trust and building a relationship, building a community, and that she's basically willing to trade knowledge. Knowledge of what? We don't exactly know, but she's willing to trade knowledge in general for these crates. So I guess Maggie ultimately decides to do it. And so we go back to Rick and Negan, and Negan's like, I'll make you a one-time deal. Like, at this point, he's lost Lucille. He doesn't know where it is, where she is. He's like, at this point, it's almost like I don't know if it's desperation, but I think really what it comes down to is he is doing what he does best, which is striking deals and trying to survive. This is his survival instinct kicking in at its best. You know, striking a deal to make it through the day and see tomorrow. So he's making this one-time deal with Rick that, you know, they walk out of here, you know, they have that same original deal. No one gets hurt. You know, and he's reducing his take to 25%, and like all this craziness. Like, he's really trying to wheel and deal here, and you know, trying to make this deal. And like, Rick's talking to him about how he doesn't believe him, and the reason he brings up is what happened to Jadis and the junkyard people, which Negan doesn't know about. He thinks that Simon went there, killed one person, and just went on about, you know, as usual, like he reported. However, as Rick reveals to Negan, he tells him that he killed everyone. Like, all the junkyard people are dead. And to his knowledge, Jadis is dead too, because, I mean, he pretty much left her there. Rick did. But, obviously Negan is very pissed off. Like, he's like, son of a bitch, I can't believe. Because he's, by this point, figured out that Simon has lied to him and is two-faced, and probably suspects he's going to stage a coup against him. So he's starting to also realize that the people he thought that were on his side, that were going to come look for him, who knows what they're really going to do. So he's, like, now he realizes that he's kind of, you know, on his own, so to speak. I mean, I'm sure he still has his own followers, but obviously it's going to take a lot of figuring out, like, who's with him and who's with Simon and his vision. So anyways, at this point, Rick has Lucille, and he takes her. And this is where it gets interesting, and we'll get to that in just a minute. So Simon has talked to Dwight about his vision, that they just need to move on. And Dwight actually believes him. Like, they find the vehicles, like where Negan, you can tell Negan, like, his is flipped over. It's pouring gasoline and oil. There's a blood that he had, that bucket of blood that he was dipping Lucille in, with like zombie blood and guts and whatnot in it, and it's gone everywhere. And also, like, obviously the glass is shattered. He doesn't know if Negan is alive, if he died, and if he did, if he, like, you know, rose as undead. So basically he talks to Dwight and is like, you know, essentially he wants him to join him, and he wants them to move on, is all he tells them. He doesn't really flesh out his full plan. He just tells them he wants to move forward and stop focusing, like they have been, on just these people. And Dwight, I don't know, like, where his mindset is, but at this point he seems to agree with Simon's thoughts and vision, and he chooses to flick his cigarette at the vehicle and it goes up in flames because obviously the cigarette with the gasoline and oil, it just goes up into flames. And so they decide that they're going to tell the rest of the saviors that Negan is gone, that they don't know where or what happened to him, but he's gone. So, anyways, so Rick basically lets Negan know that he has Lucille, and Negan flips out, and you'll learn here why, but I mean, if you don't know already, spoilers, putting this out there, spoilers, 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 okay? If you have not read the comic, you may or may not know this. If you've done your own research, maybe you do. Lucille was the name of his wife that passed away. So the bat, he's almost like transferred what he thinks of her. Like at one point in the episode when he puts her in the car with him, he's like, "Boy, you look beautiful, baby," like that. Like you know, it's like to him, it's almost like the embodiment of his wife, and he's kind of put his perfect woman, you know, and he's kind of passed that, you know, thought, that being into this, you know, bat. So when Rick has him, he just loses like almost his sanity because he's like, "Don't you dare touch her." I mean, to him, like his protective instincts come out because to him, he's essentially touching the only woman that truly ever mattered to him. And Rick sets Lucille on fire. And he's like, "You want her? Come and get her." And, like, of course, Negan is coming at him hardcore. He tackles him. All these walkers are, like, coming into the small, like, I guess, like, warehouse or whatever it is that they're in. And, like, essentially, they almost get both of them. And Negan at one point is like, "You're an idiot. We're going to both get killed." And Rick says, "Well, as long as they take you first." So eventually, like, and you see Negan gets the bat back, and he's swinging at zombies to try to clear a path, and they're like fighting in between all these walkers coming at them, still going at it, and eventually Rick jumps out of a window, and Negan gets out somehow, and so I mean it's pretty crazy. I just this whole dialogue that they've had, this like almost like prison yard fight. I mean, that's kind of like the vibe you get because it's that fight we've kind of been waiting to see, but neither one really wins, so to speak. But they definitely swapped some blows, and obviously Lucille got badly burnt, so who knows what condition she's in now. But anyway, so we find out what this knowledge is. So Maggie has brought these people to Hilltop, and they're making the trade. She's gotten like these vinyl records, which I actually collect, so I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. And so she's gotten these records together and like other things that they've requested. And in return, like Georgie and the rest of them tell them that they're going to let them have access to their food stores. And she hands her this manuscript. And it's basically like a thick, binded with like maybe, I don't know, like string of some kind. And essentially hands her something that's titled The Key to the Future. And she says, "Here's the key to the future." And it's basically schemes that can be man-made, like all these blueprints for windmills, for aqueducts, for water, for like all these essential things for farming and for building their own civilization where they can live off the land, they can create everything that they need to live on right here. And she just hands it to her because, you know, that's what she's doing. And so she gives her the key to the future and basically says that they'll be back. It won't be immediately, it may be a month or two or whatever, but they'll be back and for more music and more, I guess, more entertainment-based stuff. So I guess that they have their own civilization set up. And she's handing her access to do the same while, you know, getting things that they need. So I guess they want more music, more entertainment, more just things to do to, like, relax and enjoy themselves, other than, I guess, doing, chores and farming, or whatever it is that each of them do. So really, really, quite a an unexpected turn for me personally. So anyways, Simon and Dwight make their way back, and of course Negan's not with them, and the people question, the Savior's question, and Simon's quick to remind them, who are you? Who are we? We are still Negan. Even though he's not with us, we're still Negan. And basically, he finally gives this big speech that because of what happened in Negan, that they've been wrong this whole time about their approach, that they don't need to just wound and maybe, like, maim a little. They need to erase Hilltop, Alexandria, Kingdom, all these people from the face of the earth, and that they don't deserve to be there, that they need to cleanse them. And it's very, like, I don't really know how to put it, but it reminds me of, like, some actually anime I've watched that's like, oh, these people need to be cleansed and we need to restart for the greater good and rebuild, and the best should live and the worst or weaker should die, and just this crazy madman scheme. And obviously Dwight's taken aback. Like, he assumed that they were just going to move forward, find other people to kind of, strike up a bargain with, essentially, and trade with, and be back to where they initially were when Negan was in control, but maybe not as authoritative, more as almost like a community, which I think Dwight could get behind, obviously. But obviously he quickly also realizes that Simon is not in that headspace. He's in that headspace of, we need to kill. And that's it. There's no in between. So he gets all the other saviors to get behind him in this mission to erase all these people. And obviously they're going towards Hilltop right now. So that's where they're headed. And at the very end, the episode ends with Negan riding in a car. And I actually initially thought it was Rick. I was like, what the hell is going on? Did Rick just up and decide that he was going to transport Negan? And I thought finally, which is what happens in the comics, he was going to take him, but that cell was in Alexandria, so I guess that would also be a necessity for him to go back to Alexandria. But I thought he was actually going to take him back to that cell, which is what happens in the comics. But it's not Rick driving him, it's Jadis. Jadis has obviously escaped from the junkyard, as we saw previously. She somehow has come across Negan as he was running away, and I guess passed out somewhere. She's got him in a vehicle with a gun to his head, and at the very end you kind of see him laughing as he realizes who's driving him. He's like, well, isn't this just I guess like a coincidence or whatever. But she doesn't even let him finish the sentence. She just knocks him upside the head with the butt of the gun. So knocks him back out. But anyway, that's how the episode ends. And what the hell is going to happen? I don't know. I guess now Jadis and Negan are a team. Simon has, all these saviors going on his mission. So who the hell knows how that's going to work out. And obviously, Rick's going to come back and find out what's happened with Georgie and all those ladies that have swapped this key, which is thus the title, the key, this key to the future to the Hilltop. So, who knows what's going to happen? We'll see. I don't really know what the climax is going to be because now it's so disjointed. I guess it's going to be, I don't think Negan's going to be really a part of it. Like, we'll see him, but I don't feel like he's going to be standing with the saviors when they attack. I feel like Simon and Dwight, well, Dwight's going to probably try to warn Hilltop about what's coming, and then Simon's going to lead the rest of the Saviors to fight this fight and try to erase them with their manpower. So I feel like that's going to be what we see for the finale, and who knows how that's going to go and who's going to die. We don't know. We know that they did announce that there will be a major death of a major character. Who that will be? We've already had Carl, obviously. So who knows? Who knows? I have no idea. So, but anyways, that's it. That's all I got. Again, if you want to know more about Negan, I highly recommend this book. It really goes through his backstory, where he started, and how he became kind of who he is, and like we see him in the show. So anyway, that's all I got. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate you guys. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube. We just got our own custom URL because you're amazing, and we have so many subscribers now because you guys have been spreading the word, and we've done a lot of our own networking with people who are just as passionate as we are about all sorts of fandoms, and just eclectic in our love of nerdy and geeky things. So thank you for that. Also, we're on YouTube, besides on YouTube, so subscribe to that. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thenerdettes. We're also on Twitter and Instagram as @thenerdettestn for Tennessee. So check that out too. We post pictures for our unboxings. You'll actually see individual pictures of all the things we unbox on our Instagram. So check that out. But anyways, I really appreciate you guys stopping by. Thank you so much. I love The Walking Dead. Hopefully you do too. A lot of people have stopped watching, but maybe if you have, this might get you back into it. I don't know. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I hope you guys are doing great, and we'll see you later. Bye.